2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio 2.0T and 2.2D Euro spec. The more mountainous parts of Italy have previously offered inspiration to those hard-working marketeers responsible for naming new models, but it has been a while since the muse struck. The Ford Cortina and the Triumph Dolomite, however, have been joined by a new Italian in the shape of the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, an SUV named after Italy's highest and most famous alpine pass. We finally got to find out how appropriate the association is. This should have happened sooner. Alfa wanted to hold the first press launch of the Stelvio on a route including the 9,045-foot-high Passo dello Stelvio earlier this year, but unseasonably late snow nixed the plan. In the meantime, we drove the US spec Stelvios in Tennessee. Now, this later drive is a chance to get acquainted with the more obscure members of the model range behind the wheel of both the lower-powered version of the 2.0-liter gasoline engine and the 2.1-liter diesel, neither of which is offered in the United States. The Stelvio passes position at the edge of Italy, nestled up against both Austria and Switzerland, means that getting there is always the biggest component of any road trip involving a location. We picked up the cars in Milan, meaning a 3-hour trip along both the Autostrada freeway and the smaller roads that ultimately carry us to Bormio, a small mountain town that guards the southern end of the pass. Environmental beauty, and mountains, too. It's an excellent chance to experience the 178-horsepower diesel inline-4 that powers the rear-wheel drive entry-level model in Europe. At 2,143 cubic centimeters, this engine displaces 2.1 liters, but Alfa markets it as a 2.2-liter. This uses the same aluminum block and head, direct-injected engine that powers most Europe market versions of the Giulia sedan, although the Stelvio doesn't offer the sedan's manual gearbox, instead coming with an 8-speed automatic as standard equipment. As you'd expect, this engine is a slugger rather than a sprinter, with the most telling statistic being the 332 pounds-to-foot torque peak arriving at just 1,750 revolutions per minute. The diesel Stelvio cruises with a relaxed composure, the quick-shifting automatic transmission keeping the engine in its broad mid-range. High-speed refinement is impressive but for some wind whistle from the tops of the doors. And even while sharing switchgear and much of its trim with the Giulia, the Stelvio's cabin feels both more spacious and classier. The Stelvio Pass proves to be a tougher challenge, although for reasons well outside the Alfa's control. Myriad car advertisements filmed here suggest the pass is a deserted driving paradise, but the reality is considerably busier, especially on a hot summer's day. The road attracts visitors from across Europe and even farther afield, with traffic ranging from bicycles to cars and RVs all the way to full-size tour buses, the biggest of which have to take more than one cut at the steering to negotiate the tighter hairpins. Our Stelvio is soon trailing a long line of traffic traveling at scenery-watching pace. Still feels good. But even gentle loadings prove the fundamental excellence of the chassis and vindicate Alfa's decision to spend so much money on a weight-trimming aluminum structure. It feels taut and agile, is responsive when asked to change direction, and puts up keen resistance to body roll. Ride quality is excellent, well damped and on the firm side, and yet it deals with the lumpier asphalt at higher altitudes without breaking a sweat. Pausing at a turnout to gawk at the sort of scenery that Heidi had from her bedroom window gives the traffic a chance to disperse and gives us a gap to press harder on the plateau above the second flight of hairpins. There are 38 in total on the Italian side. Pushed harder, the engine loses its composure, with some frankly industrial noises passing through the firewall as the diesel revs nears its 3,750 revolution per minute power peak. Acceleration stays respectable even on the pass's steep gradients, but the 2.1-liter gives off none of the push-harder vibe that has long been a characteristic of even modestly engined Alfas. In terms of dynamics, the Stelvio handles pretty much like a taller Giulia. Steering is quick and direct, with the front end responding to inputs cleanly and accurately. There's little genuine feedback beyond the artificially induced weight of the electrically assisted power steering. Alfa is justifiably proud of the way the Stelvio resists understeer in slower turns, but much of this is due to the aggressive manner in which the stability control